Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of eCoffee with Experts. I am your host, Matt Fraser, and on today's show, I have with me Sean Brown. Sean is the founder and managing director of Digilari Media, a full-service digital marketing agency headquartered in Sumner, Queensland, Australia. He has business and leadership experience in the digital media, advertising, tourism and leisure, and real estate sectors, covering all facets of the business operations. He focuses on sales and marketing alignment, growth strategies, overall financial management, people and culture, whilst driving growth opportunities. Sean, thank you so much. Pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thanks, Matt. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you.
Really appreciate it.
Hey, right on. Yeah. Pleasure to have you. So, Sean, I mean, you've had an interesting journey so far in your career. I saw you've gone from a group general manager in the hospitality industry to working as a strategic solutions executive in the retail industry. What motivated you to start your own digital marketing agency? Could you tell me about the journey?
Yeah, it's interesting because if you go back a couple of steps, like I was in the direct marketing game for many years, and then I was in out of home advertising or marketing, bus shelters, billboards, etc.
Oh yeah.
And then the sidestep into the hospitality was actually a leading businessman in Queensland who founded one of the founders of Flight Centre and his wife. They have a couple of cattle properties. They had, a couple of hotels or luxury resorts, and it just seemed like a good idea at the time. So I moved over to them for 3.5 years, and that was an eye-opening experience, but it was fantastic. Learned a lot, and that was the idea to get in there and learn how someone built something like Flight Centre, if you like, and his philosophies in business. And then it was really, okay, I wanted to go out and start looking at other ideas. I had a couple of TV concept ideas, et cetera, which never really panned out. So it sort of put me back I had to go back into corporate, and that's where that retail solutions manager came in, which was back in the direct marketing, but it was calling on companies like Neiman Marcus or Macy's or any American or European retailers that wanted to catalog into Australia. So I was talking to a few of those guys, and then again, management changed and so forth, and I found myself on the wrong side of the business. And then I started basically got into a smaller digital agency who were doing web development, and they were doing marketing, digital marketing, SEO, PPC, et cetera. They decided to close down the marketing arm of the business, and they were going to cut quite a few clients out of the equation and just leave it as web development. So that provided the opportunity to actually say, okay, why don't I start a company called Digilari, and I'll look after some of the clients. So we got to talk with some of the clients. Not all of the clients wanted to come over with us, but we got a few. So it was a great way to start an agency with sort of immediate cash flow from day one.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in starting?
Well, it was, like we had zero processes. We had,
oh, wow.
We didn't have a website. We barely, this all happened within about a 2-week period. So we really had to, hit the ground running. So I think it was just a whole of business, whether it be a digital marketing agency or if it was, you were an accounting firm or whatever the case may be, you had a whole of business to set up policies. You had, to team members, you had to, I had a minor partner come with me from the other agency. He stayed with me about 1.5 years before realizing, running your own business is not a walk in the park, and it demands a lot of hours and a lot of commitment. So he opted to go to safer waters, which I don't hold that against him whatsoever. But so for the last, 5.5 years, it's sort of been me at the helm. And, one of the biggest challenges you always have, I think, from an agency, particularly if you're a smaller type of agency, is the bigger guys can and generally do offer better money or better packages. They've got, I guess, better appointed officers and so forth. So there's a lot of attraction when you've got a good person working for you, that they're seeing a lot of opportunity out there. So the hardest thing is keeping the people, not so much keeping the clients, just keeping the people.
Keeping the people.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, like, for instance, you started this, and starting it. It's goodness. If I knew then what I know now about starting a marketing agency, it's almost like, Sean, and you can agree with me or disagree with me or tell me I'm out to lunch, but it's almost more important to know the business side of things. Like, I think
it is.
It's one thing to know how to be a practitioner in SEO or a practitioner in Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever, web design. It's a completely different story to take that and try and make a business out of it and have the business skills to be able to run a business out of it. It's remarkable. Did you have anybody mentor you in that, or?
No, not necessarily. Look, there was plenty of people online you could read about and look at. I mean, it's interesting what you're saying about having the being a practitioner in SEO or PPC or whatever the case. I was zero with that. I was, I've always been a sales first, marketing second type of guy. So when I came into this, my whole thing was, okay, how do I scale my knowledge and probably not depth of knowledge. I'm not going to be doing schema markups or anything like that type of knowledge. I'm talking about top line, looking at the whole digital footprint of businesses and saying, okay, where are the opportunities to improve this? So it wasn't sort of mentoring per se, but it was certainly trying to find people who knew what they were talking about, and at the time, I guess, and not that he's a digital marketing, in-depth character, but like you mentioned prior to coming on about Gary Vaynerchuk, he at that time, he was starting to really get his, daily vlogs and so forth happening. So, and he was really focusing on marketing at that point. So it was able to, glean a bit of information. Now, it's not marketing in the traditional sense. We all know that, but it was certainly about how to, utilize or leverage the channels in digital marketing to get the best results. So things like him and the likes of Brian Dean from Backlinko is another one that's sort of, if you read the blogs and so forth, which are quite long and extensive, you certainly can glean a lot of top-line information, enough for you to be able to have good conversations with clients, and not enough that you become a technical boffin and, clients' eyes glaze over. Yeah, exactly. So it was sort of trying to get that right balance of not being too tech, but not being too digital naive as well. So, just go to find the source, I guess, of the knowledge out there and make of it what you will.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because you basically took the approach of being a salesperson in your own company. And so how did you overcome? Here's a question I have for you. This is a very interesting. How did you overcome people asking you then, well, what have you done? If you don't have any websites, what have you done? If you haven't any case studies, what have you done? How did you overcome that?
I guess I was just good at identifying, or I guess, if people have said it to me previously, is I get a really genuine interest in our clients' businesses. Like I'm once I find or start asking questions off that business, it leads into, how their sales works, how do they manage their leads, how, what marketing they tried in the past. And if it's all about the conversations about them, the customer, they're not really looking at us and saying, well, you're pretty lacking of credibility. You haven't got much, much of a background in that area. But I certainly had enough to be able to talk about their business. I had enough to talk about other business experiences I've had. I've got a relatively good network, so I was able to call on that a little bit as well. But it was generally, I guess, people don't look to you to have as much credibility when you are taking a great interest in their business and you're speaking in the right, positive growth terms and understanding the challenges they have as a business owner and what they're experiencing. And on the other side of this, Matt, which is very interesting,
Yeah.
so many times that I hear, excuse me, that they were refreshed, or it was refreshing having a conversation with me about it, because I wasn't straight into the digital dive. I was more about saying, it doesn't mean just because I run a digital marketing agency, it doesn't mean that digital marketing is the answer to every question. There could be other questions that, other answers there that I could probably assist with as well.
That's very interesting. What were some of those things, just out of curiosity?
Well, I guess, just sheer setting up of their sales and marketing engine, just having, how's that at the, forefront? How do you, how do you address clients? What's in your proposals? How quickly are you responding? What, one of the things we're really getting into a bit more now is finding, okay, do you understand your unique selling proposition, which is, let's face it, that's a 80s or 70s term, but I just think it's
still
missing.
So.
Go
ahead.
Very much. No, I was just going to say it's so prevalent now, more than ever, I think, because if you look at one website to another website to another website, take away the brands or the logos, and we are looking at a lot of sameness. And
absolutely.
And I just think it is. So it's not, digital marketing, or the various channels of digital marketing are the tools, but it's we got to find the problem to apply the tool, I guess, or what we're trying to overcome.
It's interesting. I hope you don't mind me sharing. I have a blog post coming up that I'm going to publish called 7 Reasons Why Building a Website is Like Building a House.
Right.
And the number one thing is the foundation. And it's interesting. A lot of people think the foundation is pictures and text and code. And it ain't. The foundation is what you just said, a unique selling proposition. And to me, it's so mind-boggling that there are so many websites, as you said, out there that they might as well just call themselves yet another plumber.com or just another plumber.com or just another home renovation company.com or just another dentist.com, because they haven't worked on that strategic part of their business, which, as far as I'm concerned, is something that you should put so much work into. And it's interesting that you bring it up, because, I haven't had too many people talk about the unique selling proposition. And I learned about unique selling propositions from 2 people. Number one, Dan Kennedy. That's who I learned about it from, as well as Michael Seenoff. And Michael Seenoff got it from someone else. He bought the entire materials from a guy who developed an incredible course on the unique selling proposition. I can't remember what his name is. But anyway, and then Perry Marshall. And Perry Marshall learned from Dan Kennedy. But the fact of the matter is, like, even Perry says the number one thing that will be the success of your Google Ads campaign has nothing to do with Google Ads. It's like it's your unique selling proposition.
Yeah, exactly.
When you stick your unique selling proposition. So tell me about that. Tell me what maybe there's people out there who I've kind of found it interesting that people have definitions of unique selling propositions that. So share with me what. Your understanding.
Well, a couple. We can
maybe have a conversation about it.
Yeah, sure. Look, it's from our point of view, it's what what you can bring to the market that's differentiates you from your competition. Now, the whole thing, there used to be, it was a belief, I guess, there's only one USP or one unique selling proposition per business, but you can have there are multiple ones if you've got them. Good on you, because it allows you to talk about more aspects. But the fact of the matter is that when we look at unique selling proposition, generally speaking, it's in the if you go back to the values of the business or the philosophies of the business is where it's going to be sitting. It's it's more about if you're a plumber or a commercial cleaner or whatever the case may be, it's the foundation of why you're doing what you do, not the what you do. It's the why you bring it to market. What you do is obviously commercial cleaning, but the why is you may have experienced a story of people, getting ill at work, or it created more absenteeism, and you've identified that, and so you've then got a bit more of a story to talk about.
Oh, absolutely.
Than just a normal, yes, we offer commercial cleaning. We've got teams that come out, they clean, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That's expected.
Yeah,
but,
that's blah blah blah. That's boring. Normal.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think, and I'm not always great at picking up examples out of midair, but it's just
okay.
when you.
I can share a couple.
That's all right. Well, please do. I'm happy to listen.
Yeah. Well, Dan always taught that a unique selling proposition was something that was uniquely identifiable about you in the marketplace, an offer, and it combined very powerfully with an irresistible offer. So think about Mitsubishi did it. They had a lifetime, they have 100,000 or something. They had a ridiculous warranty on their engines. It may have even been I think it was like 100,000 kilometers or unlimited, maybe. Yep. I don't know. Yep. But a Mazda had an unlimited kilometer unlimited mileage warranty on their engines. They're like, we don't want to limit you to how much you can drive because we're all about enjoying the drive. So they put an unlimited. So it's like, and then they looked at and built better. I think, Mitsubishi's, their tagline was around their USP, built better.
Yes.
And whether that is true or not, because your USP should line up with the actual, that you're actually doing it. But we were talking about plumbers there. And, I guess what pisses people off about plumbers, at least where I live, is they're never on time. So this one guy started his plumbing company called On Time Plumber, and he guaranteed he'd be there on time, or he gave you like $100 gift certificate or something.
Yeah.
So they talk about how you should always fashion your USP so that you can stand behind it with some kind of guarantee or warranty.
Right.
And when you can do both of those things. So for instance, in the context, and I don't understand why. Now I might ruffle little feathers with some of our audience members here, and I don't mean to take over the interview here, by the way. I just
no, it's good.
Is what web design agencies could offer 100% customer satisfaction design guarantee. If you're not happy with the design at any point in the process, before we start the coding, we'll give you your money back.
Yep.
And we offer a 2-year warranty on our websites. We guarantee that our websites will work for 2 years the exact way that they're supposed to.
Yep.
And I mean, you're going to update the code anyway, like, especially if you're dealing with a CMS like WordPress or HubSpot or whatever, it's going to work.
Yes.
So why?
and
we're not talking about any additional development add-ons. We're just talking about that the flipping CSS is going to work, and there's so many agencies that won't do it. I suggested it to a couple.
And generally speaking, most of the agencies who build a website have put their name at the bottom of it anyway. So it's like they should be wanting it to maintain its integrity for at least 2 years plus.
Yeah.
Sometimes, And I always
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I often get the USP discussion a little bit mixed. Well, not mixed up, but it sort of blurs into the line of the brand positioning as well. Because I often look at the likes of Avis. If you go back and they were number 2, so they try harder. So and they actually they stated that we are number 2 and we try harder.
Yeah.
Now, to me, that is taking a unique position.
For sure.
And it actually. And then they would, they stood on the rooftops and shouted it. We are not number 1. I think Hertz was at the time. So, and that's going back a multitude of years now. I think.
For sure.
I don't know, 60s or early 70s, but it's just something I think. Once you have the bull by the horns, you can megaphone it everywhere you want. You can put it out there, and it's. As I said, I think that's where it gets. I get sort of caught in the brand positioning as well as the USP. So it's a little bit of mix. It's not going to make the marketing purists happy, that is those type of comments. But to me, it's just a good way to have a conversation with people to say, look, using some of those examples to teeth out there or etch out their USPs.
Absolutely.
So, people sometimes need a good example. That's all.
Absolutely. I mean, think about Geico. 15 minutes to save you 15% in car insurance.
Yeah.
I mean, there's their USP right there. Bloody brilliant.
Yeah. And then they back it up with an entertaining way of delivering it. Those pre-roll. Well, the pre-roll YouTube ads you know, we don't have Geico down here, I don't think, in Australia. So, you know, even watching those, they were probably, you know, a Labrador or Golden Retriever or whatever, jumping up on the dinner table and eating everyone's dinner was just fun to watch. Fun to watch. So
absolutely,
you know, they got their message out, they made it entertaining, and you didn't skip the ad. So bang, you know, full marks to them.
Yeah. So it's important, isn't it? It's like one of the key foundations of marketing is developing a USP. That's for sure.
Yep. And look,
go ahead.
And it goes, sorry, it just goes on to other things. I mean, if you look at, you know, I think it was Jay Beer's book, Talk Triggers. It's all about creating that word of mouth as to, and I guess, you know, it's all of these are in one sort of, you know, melting pot, if you like. So, you know, there's another book, I can't remember what it's called, Red Marketing. It was by the guys who it's RED. They did, I think they were Yum Foods CEO and lead marketing guy. And, you know, a lot of the things they talk about is the distinctiveness, you know, having something that's, you know, different, it differentiates you in the marketplace. And I think, you know, a lot of that USP talk is around all that type of thing as well. And even Mike McCallowitz's book, Get Different, I think, you know, again, points you to, and I think his saying is better isn't better, different is better. And, you know, it all ties back down to me to the USP arena.
You have just mentioned 3 absolute golden nuggets of books that are amazing.
Yes,
less
they're
than
great
a minute.
books.
Talk Triggers, The Complete Guide to Customers with Word of Mouth by Jay Beer. Red Marketing, The 3 Ingredients of Leading Brands by Greg Creed. And Ken Munch is the co-author.
Yep.
Yeah, CMO of Yum Brands. Yeah, the former CEO and the CMO of Yum Brands. I can't remember what Yum Brands is, but anyway.
KFC, Taco Bell.
KFC and all that. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. I'm going to read these books.
You should. They're actually,
I'm always interested in this stuff. And Mike McCallowitz, Get Different, Marketing That Can't Be Ignored. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's one of the stories in there, and you may have heard of the Savannah Bananas. You know, they're a baseball team in Savannah, and it's, you know, like no other baseball team, how they approach the game, their audience, you know, the entertainment value, and just reading a bit about them. They are just, you know, they took a struggling team. They didn't call them the Savannah Sailors or Serpents or anything like that. They gave them a, you know, quirky name, Savannah Banana. They ran a competition to get that.
They ran a competition to get the name.
Yeah, and no one, I think someone got it from left field and they loved it and thought, yep. So the yellow became a sticking point, obviously the mascot being a banana. And it just really,
it's fun.
You know, it's absolutely fun. And it separated the Savannah Bananas from any other, I think it's a college baseball team, or it might be a town baseball, not sure, but it separated them from all others. It got so much airplay on ESPN, you know, sports, you know, unusual sports or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Purely by focusing on how do we differentiate from the other baseball team in the other city, or, you know, how when you normally go to a baseball game, what do you see? What do you do? Let's, you know, 10x that experience for people. Yeah. And all of a sudden they become a bit of a folklore in the marketing game in sports. So, you know,
that's amazing.
It's in these books. I think you find all these case studies that are, you know, excellent. And then, you know, you talked about, you know, how from a credibility standpoint, then when you start going out and talking to clients about those gems that you hear and read or whatever, that then gets them thinking about, okay, what can we do differently in our business? And then that helps us, you know, us establish or with them, help establish the USP. So we can then, from our point of view, from a digital marketing standpoint, we can then go, great, we got something that's better than beige and vanilla to talk about.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Big help.
And then you can really ramp things up. Like,
Yes.
Just having a solid USP. I mean, their baseball ticket sales were probably off the roof.
They made more money in the year, I think, in what do you call it, during COVID, when sporting teams were shutting and no one was going. They actually made more money than they did the year prior, purely because they've got merchandise sales and it's becoming globally known.
Yeah.
And there was a couple other things they did as well, but just goes to show the power of that, finding a different, your creative, your USP, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's a USP. That is absolutely a USP.
Yeah, and it's fun.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's amazing how many business owners want to be boring. Like I was saying off camera to you that I worked for a car dealership as a marketing director.
Yep.
And the business owner, I tried to get him to bring some life. Like, for instance, the book, Outrageous Advertising, that works by Bill Glazer. He used to be Dan Kennedy's business partner.
Yep.
And I said, Mitch, why don't we, like, Bill Glazer had a straitjacket on the cover to say outrageous advertising campaigns. And he actually used that in one of his campaigns for his men's clothing store. He was like, price is so low, they think I've lost my mind.
Yep.
And as you know, the swipe and deploy, I was like, why don't we do this for the dealership? Like, why don't we put you in a straitjacket, take a picture of you? And I was trying to get him to implement his life stories and his life, the things that were going on in his life. Like, he was getting married. I was like, let's do the freaking Bosses Away honeymoon sale. You know what I mean? But he just wouldn't do it. He just wanted to be boring old vanilla car dealership, which is retarded.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't use that word, which is not good.
No, it's not good.
It's just, it's not going to get you anywhere, man. Like, why the hell should someone come and buy a car from you
when they've got other options?
Darn dealership, Mazda dealership. Then you're just competing on price.
It's price and convenience. Then that's all it is. I think, and a lot of the times, in my conversations that I've had with businesses, a lot of the times they don't want to have this outrageous or something that might put them in the arena of discomfort, not because they don't think it won't work. They're worried about what their peers will say. More.
Who cares?
And the people, well, exactly. But you can see it all over them. Oh no, it's not. It's not what we do. It's not the industry. And you think, well, hang on a second. You're marketing to the wrong people. You're not marketing to your competitors. You're marketing to your customers. So, you find a way to cut through and make it happen. I mean, what was his name? I'm going to get this wrong. Tom Dixon, would I be right in saying? There was I think it's Blendtex or Blend.
Oh, will it blend? The blender you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You think about how
brilliant thing. That's
you
how
think about how that story started with a new marketing manager getting walked through the plant, and finding these mounds of rubble, that just small mounds sitting on a desk or sitting on, and as he asked, he goes, well, what, if you don't mind me asking, what are all these, mounds of what it would blended up stuff basically sitting. I said, I think it's Tom Dixon is the guy, but
Tom Dixon.
Yep. I think he just said, that's just Tom just testing his blenders. He blends different things. And the marketing guy was pretty quick at saying, let's get that on film. Let's find out what he does. And then every new, iPhone that came out or iPad that came out or whatever went into the blender. And I
know, it's amazing, man.
Yeah. And obviously
that's showing his USP that he's got a pretty damn strong blender, man.
Absolutely. Again, he demonstrated a unique selling proposition of a blender that does not stop at the hard things, and then he was able to demonstrate it in a fun way that people loved.
Yeah.
I mean, at
Sorry, go ahead. You said
you just look at the YouTube views of these will it blend, and it's not hundreds of thousands, it's millions for every one.
Yeah,
you can't buy that marketing. You cannot buy it.
And that's a USP. Oh wow.
Yeah. So the fun in that is always top of mind as well. It's a talking point again.
Yeah. I mean, and these blenders aren't cheap blenders. There's $4,000. I'm looking right now, $4,000 for a blender. I mean, the lowest one I'm looking at is $1,230. I mean, everybody, I'm talking Canadian dollars, so Anyway,
yeah. But I think he went from a 40 million turnover the year before doing it across America to about 160 or something within a very short space of time, and that's going back 5 years ago. So obviously it'd be bigger and better now, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. That is such a phenomenal story about the power of a USP. Absolutely. So,
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think if you add into that, the fact that you're trying to move away from vanilla and beige and just meet, doing what everybody else does type of scenario, I think you then start to say, okay, what's the philosophy of the agency? Like as a digital agency, and I often hang pirate flags or whatever around the place, and I try to get people to think about be more pirate. I guess in understanding that, who was it, Steve Jobs? And boy, if people fact check this podcast, Matt, they might correct all my information. Okay. But I think it was Steve Jobs who said, "I'd rather be a pirate than join the Navy." And from our standpoint as an agency, I often say to my guys, "Are we blurring the lines? Can we blur the lines a bit more? Can we push the envelope here and let's get out of safe waters. Let's try different things for clients. Try different headlines. Try be, just different creative. If a lot of our clients don't have the budgets to go out and film videos, so we use a lot of stock video that we manufacture into a film or edit into a film.
Yeah,
very short, but we've got to get our clients to, we often put some, a little bit of crazy ideas sometimes to them, and they can reject it. But we're just doing it to keep our own pirate mentality, up and going. I think so. I think it's just having that internal communication or internal thought that we just don't like beige or vanilla, and if we get the opportunity to be more pirate.
Is there a process you've developed for taking businesses through this?
I'm in the process of doing it. I'll be perfectly honest. We've the cart before the horse, if you like, is we've put up on our website. There's a page, Digilari Different, and it talks in and around the brand positioning and establishing your point of difference. It's taking a bit out of that red marketing book because a lot of clients, we've got clients who have got multiple products and services that some of their clients only know they've got a few of them. So having bringing those into light is we've got to find different ways to connect product A with product C, so clients get to understand that they don't, it might be a food processing client that are flavor enhancers. They do dry rubs. They do butter for Bernays butter to add into your steak, which is pre-packaged and so forth. But they do so much across an array of all food products, poultry and small goods and snacks and all this type of thing. But someone sitting in the poultry world doesn't know about the dry rub scenario. So we've got to find a way to bring those together, and that sort of prompted us to say, okay, where can Digilari Different help clients tackle this challenge in a unique way?
Absolutely. That is awesome. That is so smart. Hey, what is one takeaway you want people to get from this episode?
I think it's fairly obvious, Matt, that we've talked about differentiation. Look for the ways to stand out from your competitors, because if you don't, it really just comes down to price or convenience, and no one that's a no-win long-term game. I think there's plenty of examples out there where people have really nutted out their USP. They've really got a point of differentiation. They're proud to be talking about it constantly out there, or pushing it out there, or it becomes part of the fabric of their business. So I think anytime you can find a way to separate yourself from the competitors in a positive way, I'm not talking about, being, it's got to match your brand. It's got to match your business. It can't be, I think one of the examples they use in one of the books is saying if you're a lawyer and you want to get attention, you dress like a clown in the courtroom, you're not going to get far, because it doesn't connect.
Doesn't match.
It doesn't match. So I think you've got to have a way of differentiating. You've got to have a way that differentiation is attractive, like it attracts people, and then ultimately you've got to get them to do something in the end. So it's got to be all tied together, that you want them. They've got to be clear on what that next action is, although you've taken them down a bit of a different route. Yeah.
No, that's awesome advice. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the episode today. It's been an awesome conversation. How can our listeners connect with you online if they want to?
Look, anybody can send me an email. If you go to the digilari.com.au website, contact details are there, but I'm in LinkedIn, obviously, Sean Brown 5. SEAN Brown 5, the number 5, and my email s.brown@digilari.com.au. So cool. And I've got a few other things like Twitter and so forth, but hey, let's face it, the best way to contact people is directly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll make sure to put that information in the show notes. So
thanks, man. Appreciate
it. Been an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Matt. That's great. Cheers.
Cheers.